Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Today, we're going to be doing the AI tool tour, talking about the universe of AI tools for book manufacturing, or really for any business here. I think Graham really set the stage well, talking about the risk management part of adopting AI or any new technology. Super indispensable. We'll be paying dividends out. This talk is more about kind of opening up our minds, getting that innovation cap on about what's actually possible, what's out there, so we can make more like strategic decisions about getting value out of AI and adopting new tools. All right. So we're going to talk about the whole universe of tools out there. This is current as of actually yesterday, so things might have changed, but uh, the tool universe as of today to kind of get an idea of what's happening, tools you may already have, and then how to get started, how to kind of conceptualize and think about piloting AI and different ideas. So, learning objectives. Today, we want to understand what is the landscape right now? How can we evaluate tools based on their value, fit, effort, risk management concerns, and leave with at least one practical tool or idea to get started on? So, who am I? I'm Addie Olson. I'm an AI and data science consultant. I have a more technical background. I studied applied statistics and machine learning, worked at the Federal Reserve for most of my career, actually building AI models and tools, and really got a lot of hands-on experience within a pretty regulated and high impact environment. So coming in with some of that risk management expertise, but also on how to make things that actually work and actually bring value. What does this look like to build out pilots that don't go to the project graveyard, or seeing random acts of innovation that don't really like connect and kind of move the needle on things. I'm also a normal person. I really like my cats and the outdoors and uh, pretty much anything outdoors and percussion. I love playing music too. Cool. So what is AI? It's funny, me and Graham both have this slide. What is AI? To me, from the technical perspective, I think of it as a recipe with these three ingredients, or the ABCs. A being algorithms. So this is the actual math, statistics, models that feed the analysis and the prediction and what's going in. And as Graham mentioned with his timeline, this math and these algorithms have been around for a long time, most of them from the 70s and sooner. First neural networks started showing up in the 70s, and we've improved on them, but not much has actually changed since the 90s. So this technology has been around for a while, but it's not what it is today, because back then we didn't have the B and the C, which is big data and compute. So data, big, I think we know what that means. Massive, massive amounts of data. As the digital world has proliferated, it is so much easier to get data, maybe too easy, maybe there's too much data. But that large amount of data enables us to have models that are really good at representing and copying what's already there. And then compute, this is the actual power, the processing power behind putting this all together. Again, computers weren't so good back in the 70s, but now we have massive computers, massive data centers going up everywhere. And kind of all of this is the recipe to the AI that we have today. And now talking about the AI value recipe. So how do we adopt AI in a way that is actually, again, going to move the needle and give us value? I think Graham hit a lot of these points really well, but starting up at the top here is direction, having a plan, both the vision and purpose, answering that why question, and the risk management side. Those two things have to work together and really both have to be there. Then underneath, we have tools and we have people. Organizations at their core are still people. So talking about people, there needs to be trust, capacity, and capability. So the trust can also is ties back to the direction of like, what is our alignment? Do I trust that my job isn't going to get automated away? Questions like that. And then capability. Do I have the skills that I need to use the tools effectively? And capacity. Do I have like the time and or, you know, uh, actual permission and stuff written into my job description to use this? All of those have to be there. And then tools, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Do we actually have the right capacity to fill the needs, solve the problems we have, and how do we go about figuring out what those are? All of that comes down to measured outcomes. This isn't like crazy concept, but when we try something, we want to have a plan for measuring if it's successful or not, and then use that information to go back and keep the cycle going, hence all the arrows. Cool. So we're going to talk about the types of tools and their value, and it's a big universe. We know that there's a lot of tools out there. We're going to talk about assistants, then writing and content tools, image tools, automation and workflow tools, meetings, documents, email tools, data analysis tools. I think honestly, any of these topics could be its own talk. And I do have some specific talks about each of these if you want to dive in further. But with this talk, we're kind of going like a mile wide and inch deep. What's out there? Let's learn a little bit about it and learn how to evaluate if it might be a good fit for us. Cool. So jumping into assistants, most of us probably know all of these names up here. But these are general purpose assistants. They use generative AI to take plain language prompts and turn that into outputs, whether that's written output, image generated output, suggestions. I would guess that most of us in this room have probably experimented with one of these either in our personal life or work life. And so I think we kind of know what these are. But what I want to focus on here is how they're general purpose, not necessarily fit for any specific thing, but can have a really wide range of applications. And so this is also an introduction to this fun table format we're going to see on the rest of the slides, with the name of the tool, the cost. I've broken it down if they have a free tier, what the individual plan looks like, and what the business plan looks like, whatever that like first cheapest thing is, to kind of just like have an idea of what kind of investment this might look like. And then integrations and how this tool might connect with things that you already have or things you might be looking at. Awesome. So next I'm going to move on to writing and content tools. So again, using generative AI to improve, rewrite, expand, revise any written thing. Really helpful for tuning things to specific audiences. And these tools here are more fit for purpose for specifically writing content, communication, and different types of assets here. So it's kind of hard for me to see ones I'm going to talk through. Well, let's see, Grammarly. Graham mentioned this before. Grammarly is a tool that's been around for a while. It's kind of like your live-in proofreading assistant. Grammarly can kind of follow you everywhere. It can be in your browser, it can be in your email, it can be inside Microsoft Office to kind of help you with those typos and things. Grammarly, like I said, is this product that's been around since before some of these major AI assistants, and was always an example that I would tell people of like what AI kind of is back when no one knew what I did for work. But it's kind of one of those all-around things that follows you through. Next one we have is Writer. This is more of an enterprise-focused platform that's really focusing on brand alignment. They really don't have individual plans. They really just sell to businesses here, but a lot of people like them. Jasper is focused mostly on marketing and creating content there. So people in the marketing world might know this one, thinking about, okay, I have this one piece of copy and now it needs to go across all my different marketing platforms. But still keep that brand alignment and be able to do that quicker. Paragraph AI, this one is kind of a favorite in the writing world. It's like Writer, but more focused on individuals. Kind of still on that drafting, generation, reply, kind of again, all around here and a little lower price point. And then my next one, DeepL. Okay, so this is the translation one that is focused on enterprise and business clients. Not sure if any of y'all need that, but really high quality translations, really good at technical documentations as well. Awesome. Now we're going to talk about image and graphics tools. If you're really good at it, maybe you could have an awesome prompt and make this amazing GIF I have on the slide. One thing to talk about here for image and graphics tools is copyright, something I'm sure y'all are all familiar with. These tools here, I've kind of highlighted ones that keep the copyright and indemnification in mind. So let's see what that first one is. Canva. We maybe heard of Canva. This is kind of the like, I'm not a graphic designer, but I can basically be one in like 2 minutes. It's this like point and click interface, really easy to design stuff. They have a ton of AI features and stuff, though you do have to buy into Pro to be able to use those, but super helpful when you want to get, your birthday invitation up or just a draft of something and get it going. Integrates with kind of all of the other Canva things, presentations, marketing workflows. It's really cool what kind of pre-built templates they already have as well. I like using this because I have no graphic design or kind of skills in that realm. Next one is Adobe Firefly. This is part of the Adobe suite. So if we're already in that using Photoshop and things like that, this is their generative AI tool. They have really explicit copyright protection and indemnification, essentially saying that all of the images and training data that they use is copyright and licensing or license specific to them. So for businesses, this is generally a safe option, especially if you're already in that suite there. Next one is Shutterstock Generate. This one, again, is using, you can imagine, stock photos to do that image and video generation. They do have specific licensing and enterprise plans as well. So another safe option if you're like, yeah, my marketing team really wants to generate a lot of content. We know that if we do it on ChatGPT, there could be some copyright issues. Some good options here. Midjourney, this is kind of your top of the line, super high quality image generation. This company only does image. They've been around the longest, which in the AI world isn't that long, but lots of animation studios are using Midjourney and things like that for really more high quality image generation, video generation. Awesome. Automation and workflow tools. We're at the biscuit factory, pumping it out, repeatable tasks. There's a really large market for automation and workflow tools. And like I guess I said before, I do a whole presentation on just what these tools are, how to use them, an idea of different things and use cases. But these are tools that essentially connect apps, trigger actions, and complete a workflow, which is a task. And you know what that task has to do start to finish, what it has to touch. Zapier is probably the most popular one right now. You use it to make Zaps, which are essentially those tools. It has an extremely large app ecosystem. It's very simple to use. Again, point and click. You kind of build these little boxes of like, okay, the input is an email comes in from this person. Next step is this. And any of these like action steps could have generative AI in there. You could choose which model and kind of go from there. It's an interesting one or these are kind of interesting of like, yeah, can I build out this workflow? Can I see it step to step? Do I need AI in the process? Even what are those things? Make very similar to Zapier, almost exactly the same product. They just have different pricing. It's a little bit less user-friendly, I'd say. So I put it medium on the skill level, but also super broad app library connects to almost anything, which after Graham's talk should probably be like ringing some alarm bells there. But yeah, keeping that in mind, that risk management thing as well. Next one is N8N. So this is a more open source developer focused workflow tool. Can connect to, again, pretty much any app, any API, even things like iMessage on your iPhone. We got a question about OpenClaw earlier. Kind of similar concept where you can connect into different things, but again, more developer focused. This could be self-hosted as well. So for a more free, secure version that you have just working on your machine, working inside your environment, N8N is a great option. And then Gumloop, really similar to Zapier and Make, but they have a different billing model. They do like $100 a month for almost unlimited usage. Make and Zapier have like a monthly thing, and then they'll charge you for your usage for those tokens that we were talking about earlier. But Gumloop is great if you've set up your environment, we're feeling secure and risk managed, and just kind of want to go crazy for that $100 a month price. Nice. Now, meetings, emails, productivity tools. Who here likes sending emails and sitting in meetings? No one. I didn't think so. If you had raised your hand, we would be friends because you could maybe help me out. So these meeting, email, and productivity tools essentially are helping you capture those conversations you're having in meetings, drafting your follow-up emails, syncing things across calendars, inboxes, and files. These ones here are that I'm exemplifying sit on top of existing systems. Maybe like, but what about Copilot? That can do my notes for me. We're going to get there. But these tools right here are kind of these ones that are external to systems you may already be using. Top one here, Safe Revise. This is the only product that I'm like actually endorsing today because my close friend and collaborator created this tool. This is a tool that does local redaction of confidential data and PII on your machine before sending an email to ChatGPT to review it. So he built this originally with air traffic control in New Zealand because they wanted to revise all their emails, but not have flight codes and names of pilots and other sensitive data in their email before they revise them, but really wanted that email revision capability. I'll have a link or a QR code later, and the link from here actually gives everyone here 50% off if you're interested in trying it out. So that's, again, a really good one with that risk management focus if you have a lot of confidential data or PII and want to have an easier time writing your emails. Next up, Firefly's AI and Otter AI. These are meeting transcription note-taking assistants. Maybe we've heard of these. These ones integrate with all of your apps. They'll kind of follow you around everywhere, whether you go to a Zoom meeting, Google meeting, record, transcribe your call, figure out those actionable items, and you can even set up kind of automations and agents based on that. The difference isn't super easy to grasp. Otter AI has more kind of security built in. They're configured to handle HIPAA data for one of their extensions, and the pricing is a little bit different. Next up, Superhuman. They actually just combined with Grammarly, but this is a email tenant. So this would replace your inbox, like your Outlook app or your mail app that you open. You can connect all your different emails to it, and it does all the smart things, sorting, filtering, having all that information across those ones. I did try it out. It was pretty cool, but I don't really have enough emails to justify the $30 a month spend, honestly. Next one, Notion AI. This is kind of an all-in-one tool, kind of like a note-taking app, but has much more than that, has tasks, to-do lists. You can kind of build your own mini databases in there and has AI assistants. I use Notion AI in my consulting work, and I really like it. Again, connects to all those other systems that you're using as well. To use the AI feature, it is add-on pricing per unit. So again, getting into that token cost that we keep coming back to. Then ClickUp, this is more of a project management tool. If I was like a large company, I had a bunch of employees and projects, I would probably use ClickUp. It's a newer startup, more AI native, kind of connects your whole ecosystem, calendars, documents, you can create all your own custom apps, polls, websites, all within ClickUp. Very user-friendly, easy to use. Awesome. Data analysis tools. So talking back to the power of AI and how we're kind of getting the capacity of something that maybe took a lot of years in a college degree or a lot of time working in Excel to really understand down and democratize to a thing that anyone can do. These data analysis tools help you pull information, clean it, and turn it into those reports, that BI, or just simple answers. Apache Airflow, I'm starting with this one, has that high skill level. This is kind of like an all-in-one data pipeline, data understanding engine. It can connect to all of your data sources, takes more expertise and probably developer knowledge to understand what's happening in your data pipeline to set it up. There is a free self-hosted version and then usage-based pricing if they host it for you. But kind of thinking of the use case of like, I have all of these financial reports. what do they mean? I wish I could just ask a question and be like, what really does our revenue look like month over month compared to last year? And instead of going into Excel and making that table, being able to ask that question in natural language and generate a report based on it. Talking about Julius AI, super similar here, but this one's much more user friendly. Again, can connect to all your data sources. You can ask it questions. It can help you build dashboards and reports. Brune AI, similar, more on the like technical data engineering, data analysis side, but also trying to be more user friendly than something like Apache Airflow. Next one we have is uh, Metaverse, and Omni is the next one. These are all pretty similar. Uh, Omni seems to be pretty popular in working inside legacy stacks if you already have a lot of tech and kind of a built-out data pipeline as well. And then all of these can connect to all of the places your data lives, whether it's all in your email, your OneDrive, databases, fun things like that. Awesome. And then and beyond. So, like I said, the universe is gigantic. And this is just a simple table of some more categories of tools that are out there. So, customer support and service. You might have heard of Fin or Zendesk AI. This is about creating custom chat agents for your customer service. Then we have lead intelligence, sales, and marketing. HubSpot has Breeze. I guess we're actually going to talk about that later. Apollo Clay, really for that sales cycle. Tools there to help that go more smoothly. Finance, back office. We all know what QuickBooks is. They've got a lot of AI stuff now too, which is kind of working. It's kind of getting there. I'm hopeful for a little more usability there, but also Ramp and Procoro. Are newer and more AI enabled as well. HR, hiring, people ops, Paradox, HireVue, Rippling, kind of all parts of the hiring and candidate screening process. Some of these even can conduct those weird fake interviews where someone's just talking to a computer screen. But again, AI tools to handle that process as well. Knowledge management, SOPs, Gurus, Confluence AI, you may have heard of these before, but where are all our procedures and all of our things written down? Can we easily find how we used to do something, 3 years ago when someone new starts? These AI tools for organizing and finding that information are pretty helpful. And then physical operations and QA, things like none of these are links, but these just exist. Computer vision tools and inspections, preventative maintenance platforms, actual tools that live in physical spaces and monitor things. This is not exactly my area of expertise, but I know that this field is growing wildly, not just in like computer vision, but also in all sorts of sensors as well. So that's a big market too, to kind of expand your mind and think about. Cool. So tools you already have. Microsoft. Pretty much, I'm sure everyone in here has interacted with Microsoft 365 in some form or fashion, whether we use it now. Microsoft's AI companion is Copilot, which we probably all know about and maybe have certain feelings about. But Copilot integrates into all of your classic Microsoft apps, Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, OneDrive. It's going to be, that little Copilot button you see in Word. It can help you draft and rewrite things. In Excel, it's getting a lot more powerful. It can help you generate or explain that formula. And now there's a Python plugin where it can run some simple code as well to do a little more with your data. Outlook, it can kind of help you draft and refine emails. I haven't found this super useful yet. That's where Safe Revise comes in, which I really encourage y'all to check out. Teams, it can summarize meetings and follow-ups, though this has to be enabled by an admin and you do have to be transcribing and recording. And of course, understanding the risk management around that if that's what we're going to be doing for meetings. But I will say the meeting recording summarization is kind of a game changer. Really helps you free up time taking notes, reminding who's going to do what, and be able to actually participate in the meeting, maybe make it shorter, hopefully. PowerPoint, I Copilot and PowerPoint isn't there yet, and when it is, that will be the day that I'm super, super happy. But it can kind of help create and edit things, turn things into slides more quickly. The styling and font things, which are what you end up spending all your time in PowerPoint, are not yet resolved, but I'm hopeful. And then OneDrive, this one's pretty powerful. You can prompt over files and search within your knowledge base, within your OneDrive to find things. And so the upgraded version of this is Copilot Studio. Average cost is about $200 per credit pack per month per tenant. So depending on your companies and your relationship with Microsoft, they're probably already pushing this. But with Copilot Studio, again, it's kind of like a beefed up version of that Copilot chat. You can build agents, apps, kind of create and manage them, connect more of your data together, be able to do tasks across apps like, okay, I have this email, let's create it into a Word document and save it to OneDrive. Flows like that. And all of this is through the Power Platform Admin Center, which leads us to the other Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Apps. These have, again, an increased cost per user per month, but Power Automate is similar to those workflow and automation tools we talked about, where you're connecting systems, having a flow from an action to a trigger to an outcome, and can run those repeatable processes. Power BI, this is your analytics and BI. Maybe we're familiar with this here, but kind of about creating dashboards and reports. Has more AI features, maybe not as sophisticated yet as some of the ones we talked about on the data analysis slide. And then Power Apps is about creating custom apps for your organization, whether you're summarizing data, generating things, or taking actions, kind of more to the agentic capabilities of having a task and setting some agent out to do it. Awesome. Google Workspace, which some of us also probably have. We've also, I'm sure, interacted with Google and Google Docs and whatnot. This GIF here is my cats, which are named Castor and Pollux, which are the twins of the Gemini. So I thought it was fitting, since Google's thing is Gemini, not necessarily an endorsement. But, you know, we needed some cats on this slide to spice it up. Very similar to what Copilot does, but a little bit better, in my opinion. Google is talking back to those research papers and those algorithms that were developed in the 50s, 70s, and 90s. Google had a big hand in actually the development of what some modern machine learning, large language models, and transformer models are. So they're kind of a test bed for AI stuff, more tech forward company. And so their AI integrations are definitely a level above. Again, Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Google Drive, it's all connected in there, as well as Google Meet. You can have your note-taking assistant listen in, take your notes, have your action items, email them out. Notebook LM is a feature that people don't necessarily know that they're paying for if you have the business standard. This is kind of an AI workspace where you can create your own notebooks or do your own research. And kind of create documents, notes, research, kind of like have like a topic all in one spot. This ties into some of the upgrade features. These are 20 to 30 per month per user to add on. First one is GEMS. This is like your custom AI helper, or they call it your custom AI expert for specific tasks, prompts, and roles. Similar, we're jumping down to Workplace Studio, about building out those automated workflows and agents, kind of all about understanding what the workflow is step by step, giving it context. And then this feature right here, Notebook LM as a source in Gemini, I think this is pretty helpful personally. If you have a Notebook LM project that you've been working on, with the help of LI or AI, you can use it as a source in a Gemini app that you create as grounding. So think about like approved materials, like here is our whole, HR policy. We want to just reference that when we are creating emails or answering questions or things like that. Awesome. More apps. You may or may not have noticed, but every single software is now AI powered and promises to have the best AI capabilities out there. So talking about ones you may already be using in a little bit of an overview of what they do, HubSpot, which is a CRM, has Breeze as their AI assistant, can help with that drafting, prospecting, support. As far as CRMs and AI integrations go, I think Breeze is one of the best ones. Salesforce is down there as well. They have Einstein as their AI assistant as well, kind of trying to, answer natural language questions, be that chatbot, but also have the capability to take actions and connect things within the CRM. QuickBooks, I was talking about that before. Again, getting those AI capabilities to kind of help you surface financial insights. I don't know if we're quite there yet with QuickBooks. I wish it was a little better, but that's why I want to talk about Digits. This is an AI native accounting software that a lot of people like, much more modern, does your bookkeeping very easy to use and has a lot of that AI integration already built in. Can also do bill pay and invoicing, which, most of your bookkeeping software can do as well. WordPress and pretty much any other website builder site has AI capabilities as well. This is cool. Also, as you know, you could probably go on ChatGPT and vibe code your whole own website if you wanted to. Some capabilities there. I think there may be an updated version of this PowerPoint where I talk about the different vibe coding tools, but there's a lot out there. Definitely different things to think about. If you've picked out people in your organization that you're interested in letting experiment with that, there's a lot on the market. I personally use Cursor. Claude Code is also really popular. Windsurf is another big one for enterprise. Going back to this one here, Shopify. Magic is the name of their AI assistant, kind of trying to help you at all steps of the way there for your e-commerce product designs, emails, marketing content directly in your Shopify. Salesforce, Google Looker. So this is not necessarily part of Google Workspace, but part of their e-commerce platform. This is a free one that can be a lightweight BI layer basically on top of your store and marketing data. We talked about Salesforce, MailChimp, and a lot of other email ones have this here. You can write your emails with AI and have more AI assistance in that as well as like the campaign flows and those workflows and processes around emails, which are so exciting. Cool. So getting started, we have all of this information, but going back to that value recipe slide, how do we actually turn this into something that's useful? Innovation is cool. Experimentation is awesome. You probably know that you and your employees are using AI and experimenting with it. Maybe you even have some random acts of AI and quick wins in your company. Super cool. But how do we kind of build that into a cohesive strategy that really moves the needle and allows us to share information and learning across the organization? So here's some best practices, mindset. If you have your worksheet, you can turn to the back and start looking through that. We're going to do that together here soon. If you're an overachiever, maybe you already started. But best practices, number one, track your use cases. This is not mind-blowing, but just have a central repository for you or your team where you have ideas and use cases just in one central spot. It could be a spreadsheet, it could be something in your project management app. It could just be a shared Word document or note, but track down those use cases. And ideally, you could eventually build out a system where we go over them regularly. We know what we're prioritizing. But step one, track them, write them down. And something to keep in mind here is that managers and leaders and creatives really do stand to benefit the most from AI. This has also been proved by some studies that have happened at companies like BCG and McKinsey, is that people with those management, leadership, delegation, and creative skills often get the most value out of AI because of those skills exactly. They know how to explain a process, understand the context, give their employees the tools and skills they need to accomplish what they need to. So keeping that in mind as well. Another best practice here is modeling AI use for your team. Change accelerates as it becomes more visible. Coming back to that kind of top level plan and vision, that really has to be in place, even if it's just for your team that you manage. What's our goal here? Are we going to innovate with this? How are we going to approach it? And then modeling it yourself is important. And then growth mindset. We've all heard this before at any sort of leadership or management training, but it is really important part of innovation to keep your mind open. Going on to this next part of the slide, the mindset. So the Einstein effect, this is the negative effect of previous experience when solving new problems. We probably face this every single day. But this is the idea of like, okay, we've solved this problem one way, or we've been doing this process one way forever, and we kind of get stuck in that. Similar to functional fixedness, it's this cognitive bias that all humans are affected by, of limiting a person to using some sort of object or solution in the same way every time. We really want to get over that. With AI, we have so much more capability. We have the ability to connect all sorts of different ecosystems and really think big. So getting outside of that, oh yeah, we have to do it this way. This is exactly how our sales cycle goes. This is how our monthly reporting goes, but thinking bigger there. So overcoming the Einstein effect. Number one, starting with the why. Graham talked about this a lot. The why is really important. What would we do with more efficiencies? Like, what's our plan here? Why do we even need to do this? Do we need to save more money? Do we need to save time? That's usually a really big one. Do we need to increase the speed that we're turning over potential customers to customers, things like that. Really, what is the why and what's the plan when we have these efficiencies? Let's say we take this terrible, annoying process that takes someone like 5 hours every month to like happening automatically. What are they doing with their time? Where's that backlog of use cases and things that we want to improve? We need to really already have that in place before we start piloting anything. So then next thing is think about those 99 problems that are getting in the way and just list them all. When I am working with clients and we're doing this together, I always say no brainstorming, because everyone's like, this is my problem, but there's always a but so-and-so, but this system. We got to think no buts, no brainstorming, no like, what would the solution be? Just what are the problems? You can put on your super negative, my job actually totally sucks hat. And be like, really, what are those things that are annoying me? List all of those out. Then there's this process of deciding what problems are most important. How do they align to the why, which could be the strategy that we already have in place? What are the biggest blockers? What are maybe those low-hanging fruit things that just take a lot of time, don't make us any money? What things are the most miserable? What things suck the most? And then once we're there, then comes the brainstorming step. Then we need to flood them with ideas. Again, thinking big, think about from different perspectives. How would I solve the problem if I were me? How would I solve this problem if I was someone totally new to the industry? How would my 4-year-old solve this problem? And then thinking about workflows. So I mentioned this before. A workflow is a repeatable way that a task moves from start to finish. We know the steps, the people, tools, and outputs. It doesn't necessarily need to be rule-based. There can be human judgment in the loop here. Like, I send this to so-and-so, they review it, and then it goes out. That judgment piece, that human piece is still in the loop. But the workflow, the emphasis here is that we actually know what the tasks are. Some of my clients I work with, we have no workflows. Stuff just happens. We don't, or maybe one person knows how it happens. Maybe it changes every month. If we don't have the workflows understood, ideally written down somewhere, it's going to be really hard to get AI pilots working. But let's say we have some of those. Good workflows to start with are ones that are high volume, low judgment. Like, for example, I stapled all 70 of these packets yesterday. Took very little judgment, but there was a lot of stapling to do. I had one of my coworkers help me, but a job like that where it's like, yeah, not much thinking. We got to do it over and over again. Tasks like finding the needle in the haystack or shrinking the haystack. We have a lot of information out there or a lot of things to go through. How can we find that and retrieve that info more quickly for us, our employees, or our customers? Or how can we really go in and find that thing that we're looking for super specifically and quickly? And then if you dread it, delegate it. We've probably heard this one too. But again, thinking about, what are those things that are really slowing us down that we really dread? Wouldn't it be nice to like take that thing off of someone's plate at the end of the month? And my little note here, you can use AI to help find these, whether you're working in your approved assistant. I really like turning on the little microphone button and just stream of consciousness explaining a process. This is this thing that I do every month. And then my assistant is really good at turning that into a super comprehensive, oh yeah, here's actually the steps that you go through. And then from there, can look and be like, yeah, is that the most efficient way? How can we think about this differently? Can also help you bring in those other perspectives for brainstorming and get those new perspectives there. Another one you can do is kind of think about your calendar and inbox. How am I spending my time? What are my tasks? Am I, just in meetings every single day? Let's think about how we can rework that. Do all of these meetings have to be meetings? I would argue no. And I also do a training specifically for management and meetings and how to use AI to ideally just not even have the meeting, which would be better. So, worksheet, you all have it. This is how to walk through and plan your first AI pilot. Let's see how we're doing on time. Plenty of time. It's really cool that we're at tables. So I'll give us maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of free time. That can also be Q&A time if you have questions and want to ask those. But I'd encourage you to go through the worksheet and again, start with your why. Then you're going to list 3 to 5 real problems. Pick one repeatable workflow, brainstorm some possible solutions, go crazy, use those different perspectives. Then think of one tool. You've got your little tool library there. You can reference back, see about one that you might be interested in piloting, and then plan the pilot in a time-bound way. Obviously, understanding our risk management considerations, who's going to be involved. This time-bound thing is really important, I think, when getting value from AI tools instead of just having like, yeah, it's a free-for-all. Let's try all of it forever. Yeah, this kind of works now. I guess, are we going to standardize it? Is it going to work from 6 months from now? So really time bounding those pilots and then figuring out how do I know if this worked, which we need to set that from the get-go. And then how would I be able to standardize this if it does work and it's something that I want to be repeatable? Also keeping in mind if for more transformative AI ideas, security needs, more complex integrations, definitely consider bringing in an expert like myself or Graham with Cascadia Solutions or Assessed Intelligence as well. Yeah, I'll let you go at it, do your worksheets, and then if you have any questions, it looks like Matt will bring the mic around too.
So I just saw recently Claude announced like a small business capability like that you can toggle on in co-work that it has connectors to things like QuickBooks and other tools at Microsoft, Google Suite, all that. So these things are connecting. Is it better to use something that has connectors or go to the tool directly, or how do you think about that in terms of your workflow?
That is such a good question. And yeah, Cloud Cowork is a really powerful one where it sits on your desktop and can connect to your apps and do actions on behalf. Another one of its cool capabilities is that if you're on your phone, you can have it do something on your laptop while you're not actually there, which again, maybe raising some red flags in some people's mind for risk management as well. But yeah, that's the question here is like, there's so many tools, they all have AI on them and they're all going to connect. And my way of thinking about that is, again, from the risk management side, as well as from the actual strategy and direction side. So first of all, yeah, how secure, how confidential is our data? What is the risk management level of the specific tasks that we're doing? Is Claude already an approved tool that we trust and has like gone through our vendor process? Or, maybe QuickBooks, we've been using it forever. It already has that tool in there. So it is kind of hard to evaluate, but I'd say start with the actual whys and the problems that you're trying to solve. What is that actual workflow that we want to improve or get rid of or reimagine, and what are the actual steps that it has to take there? Tools like Claude Cowork are kind of this all-in-one. So that's another thing to balance too of like, cool, this can do a lot of the things I need. That simplicity really makes sense for us and considerations like that. But yeah, always going back to that why and what the actual problem and process is what I use to guide those decisions.
I don't know, this might be a silly question, but given all the tools that are out there, it feels like aside from consolidation, because there's so many of them, at some point, they're gonna get gobbled up and consolidated, but should there be some sort of like FSC certification, third party, you know, um, stamp that
Mm.
ensures that whatever your workflow is or whatever you're trying to do, this is the right tool for it. I feel like that might be coming because these things probably need to be regulated at some point.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think it really highlights how it is kind of the Wild West out there. There are so many new companies and startups with so many new products. What really are the ones that are secure and compliant? And honestly, there's not like a great answer here. That's kind of why this space is so gray. But I'll say all the ones that I've kind of talked through on my slides are all like generally like my recommendations for ones that I have either used or seen folks use. But uh, kind of like Graham was talking about, usually the kind of regulation and standardization generally lags behind the actual technology for everything. Like we're talking about cars. Cars were super cool. No more horse-drawn carriages, right? But we didn't have headlights or seatbelts or windshields, even things like that for standardizing. But I do think that the kind of industry and hype cycle will move towards more consolidation, more standardized sets of skills and tasks. And as far as the industry right now, it does seem kind of like this mad grab for customers and locking people into contracts as well. So that's something I would think about too, is like, what is the solution? Do I really need it? Am I really evaluating that this is the right tool for me? And is this something that's going to be sustainable and work for us long term? For example, one of my clients, they're actually a pretty large company here in Portland, went with this startup for this AI platform, excuse me, promised to do everything. It's going to connect to everything. Their company has thousands and thousands of employees and silos and systems, but it's going to connect all of them under one layer. And then it's going to like meld them together to build this super cool big model that just understands everything about the company. You can probably see where this is going. I got into a very large long-term contract with them. And then the two founders had a disagreement. I think they were college roommates. Something came up, whole company dissolved. And so that was like months of like engineers on their side, engineers on their side, investing in getting into this solution that was supposedly really going to help them, and then it falling through. So not an investment that was worth it on their end. But surprise, surprise, there were like 30 to 40 other companies that were maybe promising almost the exact same thing, new startups that were right in line to try to get that new contract as well. So none of this stuff is that new. Like we still want to vet the technologies and tools that we're using ourselves. And again, I think that's where folks like Graham and I can come in to help if you're needing more help understanding or kind of customizing what those solutions look like.
You kind of touched on this a little bit, but kind of thinking about the decision process to, how do you, and some of the overlap between some of the solutions types, versus the overall platforms like Microsoft versus Google Space. What key things do you do to say, hey, am I using different kind of pick and choose a la carte solutions versus one of those platforms? Just wondering what the process you go through there to think about that.
Yeah, and that's a tough one because again, a lot like Google Workspace, Microsoft, it's built in most of the time. You can upgrade some of the things we're using, it's already built in. I think it really comes down to actively evaluating if those things are working for us. This could look like actually going into our Microsoft Admin Center and seeing like, are people even using Copilot? Like, who uses it and how much is this working for people? So if they're not using Copilot, they're probably using something else. That could be security data leakage concern. So thinking about kind of that first evaluation thing is like, do we have something that's free and secure? Cool, let's try it. But let's figure out what would success look like. Does this actually work? Are we actually going to use it? And then think about going into something more specialized. And I think this idea of specialization is something that is also going to become more prevalent in the industry. Like we talked about our general purpose chat tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and the other ones. And they want to promise you everything. They can do it all. But I think we're going to see much more specialization for specific types of use cases, maybe even in book manufacturing. Graham talked about a law example. There's two, I'd say, pretty big companies that do AI assistance just for law. And they have their own models. They're not using like the Claude or OpenAI API. They've trained their own models on legal data and have it hosted there. And it's really fit for purpose, though it sounds like sometimes could be changing citations, which isn't great. But really kind of those more fit for purpose things. If you think about, like you talk to someone in your industry, like they get it. They know what the words are. They know how the life cycle goes. I think that is generally where products are going to go and be more specialized for industry.
Hi, you work with a lot of different companies, and as they're going through this process to understand how to adopt AI, where are they seeing value? Is it value in the individuals improving their efficiency, or are there things that you're seeing that across the enterprise really help change how that company is working and get value that way?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think about this in kind of levels of intervention. What we talked through here and kind of what this worksheet is set up is like level one. These are usually internal functions, operation, day-to-day, individual level efficiencies of like, man, couldn't it be easier if I just could get this part of my job done faster? And I'd say right now, AI is generally the best at those kinds of tasks. Again, generative AI is taking old data and creating something new. So again, we're really relying on whatever that data is prior to come up with something new. So it is kind of limited by the amount of like data and documentation that you have on your end when you get to those more transformative things. But say the level one type solutions, I think, is where people do gain a lot of efficiencies of like, yeah, let's start with a simple workflow. Let's figure out how to get that low-hanging fruit, knock it out, get that process super automated or, automated in a way that works and we don't have to think about it every month. Then the level two, I think about this could have a variety of definitions, but it's where two different things connect. So it could be two different teams working on a solution together or things that go between them. It could be two different big systems, like all of our data over here, our internal and external. It could be our external customers and internal in those systems. And so those bigger solutions usually take more planning, more tools, more customizations, but lots of value can be there. And I've worked with organizations where we kind of get some wins there and it's like, wow, there we go. Okay, now that we have this, what's the next plan? Like, how can we connect more of these level two ones? And then level three is kind of the like, okay, let's start from scratch. What are we even trying to do here? What does our company even do? How could we do that better? Kind of the like super high level strategy. What's the direction we even want to go in type solutions? And I'd say most companies aren't there yet, except for maybe companies that started like 2 to 3 days ago and are using AI to build absolutely everything. And we'll see how that works out for them. But it's kind of this like unlocking of like, okay, we have a lot of these level one solutions, these pilots, they're working. We're able to share ideas and connect them across our teams. Okay, now we're starting to connect teams, internal, external, and then that gets us to the level three. So yeah, to kind of answer your question, going back, I see a lot of efficiencies, again, in those like level one and level two. I think there has to be a decent amount of readiness. Going back to my value recipe slide, the people side is really important here. Do people have the skills, understanding of what the tools can do? And then do they have the actual capacity and like permission and time built in to innovate and work on solutions like that? That can be the really tough one when we're stuck in our day-to-day heads down. I have to do all these things. I don't have time to think about, wouldn't it be so cool if I could just, if this, I could connect these two teams and think about those bigger solutions as well.
I got one for you. If, let's say you haven't messed around with any of these yet, which is probably not the case, but just in case, or maybe you've only done free samples, right? You were at Costco and just took some free samples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one has the best bang for your buck by going to a paid model, paid tier?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say for me, it's Notion AI. really powerful, useful AI backing to it. And if you're like me and write a lot of notes, both on paper, which I always have to try to read my handwriting after, but on your computer too, I think this is a really good one to kind of create that personal knowledge base. I love like having my notes from a meeting plus my notes that I'm writing down plus some emails and being like, okay, let's take all of this and like start drafting a proposal for this person and be able to have that all in one work thing and then be able to turn that into a to-do task that has like a date and the tag. So I'd say that that's one of my personal favorites. If you're in the Google Workspace environment, going to GEMS and investing and learning in that, I really see helping out my clients as well. Definitely not kind of like a low skill thing to learn how to really set up those GEMS and workflows and make sure it has the right context, but I do see a lot of return for those as well.
Yeah, and if you do the paid Google one, they're adding more features, different things in that Google AI Studio. They have a thing called Stitch, which will do front end design and give you like color palettes to use and there's a lot of things in the Google one that's pretty cool.
Thank you. In terms of archival training, unfortunately, I have 47 years of it. How do I get it out and get it presentable to everybody else? I'm the travel with somebody. They learn from my subject expertise, and it's kind of that osmosis thing. How do we take that? And there's hundreds of years of that in this current room, in an industry that, is getting old. And how do we get it so that the young folks coming up have all that experience behind them, and can use it? Is that I just talk into a tool and it writes everything down, or that's actually my case study here that I was trying to, and I stopped because I was like, I don't know. So
we're at the brainstorm step. That's an awesome question. And I think so important of like, we have so much knowledge and experience in this industry. I talked with a gutter cleaning company and they're like, Jim knows everything. Everyone has a question. They just ask Jim. He has done it all. Every single gutter, he's seen it. Everything in a gutter, he's seen it. And so it's like we have all this knowledge. We want to be able to share it and for someone to be able to find it and use it efficiently. And how do we get it down? And I think there's a few approaches to that. First, I'd say if you're doing meetings, get that like meeting transcription and note summaries on. That's going to start kind of just building that knowledge base up while you're already doing the thing you're already going to do, which is the meeting or call. It can be a cultural shift. A lot of AI adoption that I work with my clients is essentially change management, which is not a new science or anything we haven't dealt with before. But it's like building in the practice of being like, hey, can I record this meeting? Or, even if it's just like getting a simple coffee with someone, being like, hey, does this work? We might be talking some stuff. Can I record just part of it? It might feel weird, but I think within a year, it's going to be super normal. And a lot of us are going to be really used to it. So I'd say that's your first thing is figure out your meeting assistant or your call assistant. And then it is really just about getting things into some sort of digital form, whether it's your notes, your emails, your things, but building up a knowledge base in a centralized platform. So for me, that like centralized knowledge base is my Notion. If you're in the Google suite and you use Copilot, it can live there with your OneDrive and documents. And like if you use OneNote or I forget what the name of the like Loop is, Microsoft's new one. Sorry if you like OneNote, I think it's going away. I think we're just going to be using Loop, but really using that as well. There's also an entire kind of suite of physical hardware tools that some people are starting to use now. It's like a microphone or a necklace that you wear. Sometimes I see these at AI events and I'm like, yo, you're wearing your AI recording necklace and I didn't necessarily consent to being recorded. So obviously there's a lot of considerations there as well. But I see people use this in lots of industries and trades where there's a lot of talking. And so it is just kind of listening to you all the time and picking it up. Some people like that as well. But yeah, so I think it's about like kind of sticking with one and like having that mindset shift of like, I'm going to write this down. We had this email, someone asked me this question. I'm going to add that then, to whatever it is. If it's already living in an email and you're already in like Google or Microsoft, then like, great, it's already a part of that. But we're not quite to the point yet, I think, with these built-in workspace tools where it's like, yes, I'm going to go back to an email that you answered 6 years ago. I'm going to totally find that answer the first time every time. We might get there. But yeah, it is kind of this mindset shift of like thinking through what are the ways that you communicate that already and record it that way. Another thing that's awesome that I like to do, I guess I mentioned this earlier, is just like turning on the microphone button with whatever assistant you're using and just talking through it, even if it's just kind of stream of consciousness. Does a really good job of being like, yeah, I have this idea. We did this one thing once. I'm just going to explain it as if I was explaining it to my colleague or to someone totally new. And then AI can turn into this nice summary that we can go put somewhere in our knowledge base as well.
Database for that knowledge base is really how you got to choose it, right? And whether it's Notion or whatever, then now you may hear about it. It's called Obsidian, which can be a lot of people call it the second brain, but it's just a file vault that Claude or other things can talk to. And it's where it's literally just file structure, but you can put all your stuff there so it knows where to call from. And I think Jonathan or Christian may talk about it a little bit more later. And Addie mentioned about Notebook LM. If you have the Google, I mean, any Google user can just go into Notebook LM. It's quite possibly one of the coolest, easy to use things. And you tell it sources. So you can upload PDFs, PowerPoints, Word docs. You can link YouTube videos or upload MP3s or whatever you decide. You tell it what your knowledge base is, and then you can just talk to it, and it's using that only as its knowledge base. And then it's got one click, create an infographic. It has a one click. It'll write a 2-person podcast episode on whatever it is that you loaded into it. And you can just talk to it like an AI and then ask it to summarize and do other things. And so that can be an early version of your knowledge base in terms of how to solve certain things. And then if you've used Google, it's right there for everybody, whether you paid or not. So.
Yeah. Totally agree with everything Matt said. Notebook LM is an awesome space. The concept is called grounding, of like we are only using these sources to search from. And so that's kind of the difference between like a Notebook LM or just like going to Gemini. Gemini is searching the internet, all of Wikipedia, most of all the books written ever,
And it chooses Gemini will remember certain things from your conversations and certain things it won't remember. And so Notebook LM, it's like, nope, we're just looking at this. So it makes it easier.
And now in Notebook LM, they now have a thing that allows you to go into the web too. So they've opened that up as well. So make sure if you don't want to go to the web, click it off. There's always those buttons.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like one example for one client, we built a chatbot for them, and the chatbot is just referencing their internal information. This is a chatbot for a camping app, or it uses Gemini and only searches like a specific set of websites. So kind of build that grounding built in. I want to make sure I get to the thank you slide before I finish up. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and use that QR code. Again, this will be sent out. I also want to mention the AI Learning Library. So this is a web page that I have on my website that has a bunch more resources. Some are things that I've come up with. Some are resources that I really like for just learning more and getting started, whether you're trying to dive in deep or even just understand like what even is generative AI? What is even happening under the hood there? Or I want to get way better at using Microsoft Copilot. Lots of good resources there. And like I talked about before, Safe Revise, the email scripting redaction tool, 50% off coupon is there as well. But yeah, I want to say thanks so much. And if there's any other questions, happy to answer those, or I'll be hanging out for a little while.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.